We get in our head. We think we deserve territory, but we're not first willing to pay for it, pay the price, the man-made price. And I'll talk to you why the man-made price connected to God's desire for you matters. And we aren't willing to wait. Man, waiting on God, the importance of waiting on God and knowing his timing. But waiting is action. And Abraham proves that as his wife just passed, and he wants to bury her on the property that God has promised him because he knows in his heart of hearts, because he's made a covenant with the Lord, he's not leaving the station God has him on. Are you that sold out that when something in the natural happens, even as much as a death, that you are not going to stop? You are not off mission because something in the natural happens. In fact, God's calling you higher into a place of sound judgment, into a place of wisdom to see if, not by testing, but by faith, you decide to act. So Abraham wants to bury his wife here, and he says, wherever you have the best plot of land, I want to purchase it from you. He wants to purchase this property, and the prince, or I'm sorry, the kind of leader of the place, he says, of the Hittites specifically, listen, my lord, see, no Instagram, no. I'm having crazy malfunctions today, but you guys got to hear this. He says, you are honored prince among us. This is what the Hittites leader says. You're an honored prince among us. You can have whatever you want. The finest of tombs, it's yours. And Abraham bowed low before the Hittites. Humility is connected to wisdom. Humility is connected to wisdom. If you know why you're acting out of obedience and what is required of you in that space, humility is required. So he bows low, even though they just called him a prince. And he goes on to say that be so kind to ask Ephron to let me buy his cave, all the names, down at the end of the field, and I will pay full price in the presence of witnesses. Oh my goodness. How many of you guys are trying to get a deal? How many of you guys are like, can you give it to me for cheaper? And they're your friends. They're people who you value and you see as worthy, but you're trying to stroke a deal in quiet rather than saying, I will pay full price for what God has taught you, trained you, gifted you in, allowed you to do with your life, because I am certain by what God said in the next step of my life. In my obedience, I respond. And I know that the riches of heaven are connected to that, inclusive of the fruitfulness that will come here on earth.